When I started to learn about personal finance, mostly just to solve my own problem of feeling like I didn't know anything, it became very apparent to me pretty quickly that having money and not having money, the entire trajectory of your life is going to be different. There is hardly, I would say, outside of the person you marry, there's hardly another component of your life that is going to more dramatically impact what type of life you can live than how much money you have. That was really kind of the aha moment of like, if you start getting it together in your 20s, your entire life will be different. Like if you invest more in your 20s, you will have twice as much money at retirement than if you were to wait into your late 30s or early 40s. But if it's working well, if money is functioning well in your life, it should not be something you're constantly thinking about. Right? Like it should just be there when you need it, but it should not be omnipresent.
What do you wish every 16-year-old knew about money?
Oh my God.
If you could say like one or two things, like a 16-year-old who you could never see again, just know these things.
I would say don't.
I just wanted to thank you so much for stopping by and tuning into the podcast. It means the world to me. There are a lot of great podcasts out there, so it's truly an honor that you've decided to take the time out of your day to listen to mine. I'm really excited to bring on more and more inspirational guests for you. But before we get into it, I wanted to ask you a huge favor. If you're enjoying the show, would you please be so kind as to hit that subscribe button? I've noticed that over 98% of the people that watch our videos aren't subscribed, and subscribing really helps the algorithm put this episode in front of other people who it could help. And be sure to leave a comment sharing what most connects with you. So much love.
Money with Katie. Is that how everyone refers to you now? Just as money with Katie, money with Katie?
That's like how I refer to myself now, honestly. It's a bit of a problem.
It's me. It's money with Katie, you know. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. It's an honor.
I first found out about you through our mutual friend, Farnoosh Tarabi, who I love so much. She's also a business partner of mine in a cool live event that we co-host in New York City. And she was raving about you. And then 2 or 3 of my friends told me about your podcast.
Wow, really?
Yes, girlfriend, you are making the moves.
Well, we love that word of mouth. I am like, do we need like a referral code, an affiliate link? I'm like, damn, okay, I love this.
Yes, to all of those things, truly in expansion mode. But I just thought, wow, how cool that a woman in her 20s is being so honest, transparent. You can see your expenditure reports. I mean, you put it out there, Katie. So my first question for you is, why is money a topic that you're so passionate about and something that you can essentially dedicate your entire career to?
You know, I think for me, it really started in my early 20s, because up until I started working full time, when I wasn't earning money in earnest, had part-time jobs, as many of us do. But when you're a student, you don't have like a salary. You're not really bringing home meaningful money for most of us. So I didn't really think much about money until I started earning money at my full-time job and got my first salary. And that was kind of when I had that light bulb moment of, you know, I wasn't earning a ton, but I was certainly earning more than I had ever earned before. And it was more than I had anticipated earning, frankly. So it was kind of a realization that struck me 6 to 12 months into working full-time that, hey, I'm getting this paycheck, but you know, I'm able to pay my bills and pay my rent and stuff, but I don't really feel like I'm making progress. Like I'm not building wealth. I don't even think those 2 words were in my vocabulary. I just had this vague sense of I'm adulting incorrectly. Like I should be doing something else with this money that I am receiving for my labor. And when I started to learn about personal finance, mostly just to solve my own problem of feeling like I didn't know anything, it became very apparent to me pretty quickly that having money and not having money, the entire trajectory of your life is going to be different. There is hardly, I would say, outside of the person you marry, there's hardly another component of your life that is going to more dramatically impact what type of life you can live than how much money you have. And I think that on some levels, that's kind of dystopian and kind of sad, but at the same time, it is the context and the framework that we exist within. So I think for the rest of my life, the chances that I'm going to continue to live in a world where how much money you have matters, it probably behooves me to care and know and work and within that framework. So I think that was really kind of the aha moment of like, if you start getting it together in your 20s, your entire life will be different. Like if you invest more in your 20s, you will have twice as much money at retirement than if you were to wait into your late 30s or early 40s. And I know for some people that can be discouraging if they don't find that message in their 20s and they are, in their 30s or 40s thinking, oh gosh, now I have to catch up. It's not to say that that can't be done, just that if you start early, your road is going to be a lot easier. So I think that was kind of where it stemmed from, and just seeing the opportunities and ease and convenience that money can provide. I mean, even now, when I think back on my like first couple of years working and making a very average salary, compared to my lifestyle now and what my income affords me to do, it's just kind of night and day, honestly. And I can only imagine, how much more easy and convenience it gets at, the Kardashian level of wealth, because that's clearly a completely different universe. But it's just such a consequential facet of life. And it tends to be the one that we dance around and never directly address with one another.
Yeah.
So,
and I find, Katie, that, as a life coach, in my membership with the people I've worked with, I can talk about anything. I always say nothing's off limits, right? We speak about grief, we speak about sex, we speak about sexuality. I mean, it's all on the table, right? Because life has layers, complexities. I tell you, the money conversation is we have the most stuff attached. Like it's the one that is the most tense, the most heated, brings up a lot of feelings of worthiness. I mean, why
doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. So like, why is it, do you think that talking about money is something that we avoid, something that we find so uncomfortable? We'll work our lives away making money, but not really understand
never address it. I know. It's so, I mean, that's the crazy thing is when you really think about it that way and address it in that way, it's like, oh my God, that is ridiculous. Like it's the thing that we trade all of our life's energy for. And yet we are so comfortable just completely avoiding it.
Yeah.
And like kind of just going from month to month and hoping for the best. So I think you hit the nail on the head when you brought up worthiness. I think it is certainly a function of, I will call it like late capitalism, or like, a society like America where you're, I'm going to say how good of a person you are, or like how hard you work. A lot of these things are very wrapped up in your financial outcomes. Like we tend to think if you're super wealthy, you probably did something to deserve that. And if you're super poor, you probably did something to deserve that too. And maybe not on a conscious level, but subconsciously, I think we tend to kind of all buy into that ethos or that way of thinking about things. So if we are someone that does work really hard or thinks of ourselves a certain way, but we don't really have very much money, or we always find that we're struggling with money, it can feel like a real personal failure, or that it's a sign that we are doing something wrong, or that we are not worthy. Not to mention the fact that you also have the kind of upbringing, the stories that you inherit from your parents about money. Many of us inherit not so fun stories more than we inherit actual money from our families, unfortunately. So I think that certainly plays into it too, that you kind of grow up thinking about money a certain way. And that's not to say that two people experiencing the exact same type of financial life as a kid are going to walk away from it and think the same thing. Like you could have one kid that grows up rich that then doesn't really care about money because they totally have a sense of security around it. They have no sense of lack. They've always had their needs met. So they're very blasé about money. They don't care. You could have someone that grows up super rich that's all they care about because they know what it's like to be super rich and they want to continue to be. So I don't know that there's even like a one-to-one relationship between the way you're brought up and how that manifests in you and, the way that it adapts to your personality. But I think it almost certainly comes down to like personal worthiness and what we assume our financial standing communicates to the world around us.
Yes, yes. It's interesting actually, Katie, because my husband and I have such different backgrounds. I grew up on welfare. Like we had nothing, only donation box, clothes, toys, living in domestic violence shelters, right? So that's one end.
Wow.
My husband's parents are still married. He went to a good school. Like it was very safe, stable. And we had money. We had actually, because you know that kids and money are the two biggest reasons people divorce. Right. So we went to therapy twice because of money. I didn't want to share mine because I was always like the breadwinner.
Yeah.
Because I always worked really hard to achieve my goals. And I was like, I don't want to share money because I also support my mom financially.
Oh, yep. Yep.
And so I was like, that might be taken from me. And I've got to, and so that led to this awesome couples kind of therapy session, these sessions that we had. And I realized so much of what you just said, the stories, the backgrounds, like the associations, the meaning. But you also say that you're very open. You said that you and your husband don't share money. Right. So could you tell us a bit about that? Yeah. I'd love to just hear.
Yeah. Our financial picture is interesting. So when we got married, we had roughly the same amount of assets coming into the marriage. Like we had roughly equal net worths. So we never signed a prenup or anything. He's an attorney. So we like talked about it, but he was kind of like, I mean, even if we were to independently protect what we're coming in with, like we would still, it's the same amount of money on either side, basically. Yep. So we didn't end up doing that. And we did not retroactively combine our net worths, the money that we had in independent accounts coming in, but we did combine everything moving forward. So like now our respective incomes both go into the same joint checking account and all of our, however many credit cards we have, they all get auto paid through that same joint checking account every month. And the excess that we choose to invest gets invested into a joint investing account. So we are now probably 50-50, I would say, between net worth individual that like it's all still in our own names, but with the other person as like the beneficiary if something were to happen. And then money that is considered like joint property, where if we were to, divorce, then we would have to split all of that and go our separate ways. But yeah, I don't know. I think for us, there was a period of time where we kind of thought about doing like what I call the roommate model, where you do just split everything. But to me, it raised more questions for us than it answered. Like, okay, then, if I earn more than you, then am I the one that's responsible for funding our retirement someday? Or like, do we have to live in a home that's less expensive because your half of it is, there were so many things where it was like, it's just easier for us and for our personalities and for our goals really to just kind of combine everything that's coming in and work toward it together. But it wasn't always that way.
I love how you give so much practical advice, so many personal insights. Like truly, you share so much online. I love it. No wonder so many people subscribe. I mean, I love a couple of posts that I saw from you recently, and I was like, I've got to ask you about this. So you shared this story when you're like, I've got my life going on. I'm, doing my journaling, got my meetings, having my sweet little soup for lunch. And then I see this girl on a yacht, like in Greece, and she's got this Dior suit. And I'm like, you know what? This is a very real question, right? It comes up a lot. It's like, how much, really? Because life isn't 99% on yachts, right? Obviously. But I also sometimes do see people saving a lot. And sometimes I think, to what end? How do you strike the balance? Or what's your suggestion for striking a balance? Because I love to have gorgeous experiences, but I think that sometimes it's hard to reconcile the, live today or,
right.
Versus, life is long, there's an accountant somewhere who's angry. How do you reconcile this? The living and the responsibility, all the things.
I wish I had like a perfect, take home answer of like, just save this much and that's the answer and whatever. I mean, that would be great, right? That particular video, for the audience who's probably not familiar, I posted this video talking about how the majority of my life is very mundane and normal. I do my little at-home workout. I work for 12 hours a day. And, it's like this very normal life. And how sometimes I'll get on Instagram and I'll see other women my age who are on the yacht in Greece in a Dior bikini with Lil Jon and the East Side Boys. And I'm like, how? Because frankly, I know what some of these people do for a living. I know how much I earn. And I'm like, am I just not able to do that because earning the amount that I want to earn requires working 24/7. And so I literally cannot take a week off whenever I want to go to Greece. So there was some like level of, kind of like humorous bitterness in that of like, how are you doing this in this
we all feel this. We all feel this.
Like, how is this happening? There's certainly some of that. And it was, mostly intended to be kind of a joke, but what you're getting at is absolutely the balance of, balancing the boring, responsible side of ourselves with the fun YOLO, tomorrow is not guaranteed side of ourselves. That is the quintessential question that like governs how we manage money. And I don't have a specific everyone should do this answer, but I do have what I do. And what I do and how I think about it is I kind of have this overall goal for my life. And when I think about that goal, it involves a lot of time freedom and not having to be accountable really to an employer or to a source of income. And I'm really happy right now that like my full-time job is being Money with Katie and writing, but it is a lot of work, right? Like just the amount of time that it takes to make the videos, to keep up with the content calendar. It's not like a job where if you take PTO and you leave for a week, you can just ghost your channels. Like, we're posting 52 episodes, 52 blog posts, 300 videos a year, probably more, frankly. And so it's just, you never feel like you're really done. Like you kind of always have to keep going. And so when I think about my kind of happy ending, if you will, it's really reaching freedom to where if I decide I don't want to publish something for 2 months, I can just not. And my lifestyle is not dependent upon me hitting these benchmarks. And for me, financially, tactically, that looks like having around $3 million. I mean, that's really, if we're being candid, like invested that I can then draw down from in perpetuity. And my husband and I have just talked about how we would really like to reach that point, but like $2.5 to $3 million net worth in our early 30s. And in order to do that, we have to save majority of what we're taking home right now. So I always am kind of thinking like when I want to have a really cool experience, like we went to Scandinavia for our honeymoon. I love Scandinavia and really wanted to go to Copenhagen, and go to Norway and like stay in all these cool places. And so we spent several $1,000s on that trip. And, at the time I do always kind of have that question in the back of my mind of like, well, how much eventual freedom how am I delaying my eventual freedom with this purchase? And sometimes you're like, it's not really worth it. Like, I'd rather get that much closer to my goal. And other times you're like, no, I don't really care. Like if I have to work an extra month at age 33 because I'm doing this, fine. Like, I don't even know, I mean, not to be morbid, but like, I don't even know if I'll be alive at 33. Things could happen between now and then. Like, you don't know for sure that you're going to be around, but you hope you are, you plan as though you will be. And so I've definitely gotten better about even doing like frivolous things. Like I bought 2 pairs of Chanel shoes this year. So I've spent like probably $3,000 to $4,000 on shoes. And I would have never done that before, but I am, it's a practice just in the same way that it's a practice to rein in spending when you're super wheels off. It's also a practice to tell yourself like, you need to chill out a little bit and like live a little, like let yourself splurge on the shoes or like let yourself take the trip. Like you only get to do this life thing one time, but hopefully you're going to live it for a while and you want the money to last the whole time. So
yes,
that's kind of how I think about it.
I love it because you keep your long-term vision always in your,
Yes.
like within your energy field. Like, oh, so, but you know,
Yes.
this is for a reason. It's not just for the sake of deprivation or because I hate myself or because misery is the state of humanity.
100%.
It's because you're like, I'm creating something. I mean, I have to say in periods of my life when I've been very conservative with money, the only negative I've experienced, Katie, is almost like this feeling of, would it be slight isolation? Because there isn't, because spending's fun, talking about it, what you're buying, sharing it, showing you, like there's something, oh yeah, I'm in, blah, 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 versus like, right now I'm actually in a saving phase and there is a slight, like like a loneliness or something to it. But really that's it. Like, would you agree? Like, have you felt that before? I'm not doing all the things, but
totally. No. I think you're right. Well, especially because like our culture is so consumerist. Like it's all of our fun and socializing pretty much revolves around like spending money and drinking alcohol, which also requires spending money.
A lot of it. Yeah.
There's a lot of that is true. And for me, when I think about those times in my life, I fortunately feel like I'm past it now. There was probably 24-month period where I was 2 years where I was really, really frugal and like said no to pretty much everything. And to be frank, there are some things I said no to that I now regret saying no to. So I don't think that it's something that you should kind of have that like blanket approach or that whatever that Dave Ramsey quote is, where it's like, if you have debt, the only time you should see the inside of a restaurant is if you work there. Like, I think that's crazy extreme, but I do think, I think about life in kind of in seasons. And I think sometimes you are just in a season where like right now, we live somewhere where we don't know very many people. I do work a lot. It is a little bit isolating. Like my husband and I do a lot of fun things together. And I know some people we'll do, travel, but it's not the same as when I lived in a city where I knew, hundreds of people and I could do anything any day of the week because there was always someone doing something. But I think it does come down to that seasonality and kind of honoring the season that you're in. And if you are supposed to be in a season where maybe it's a little more reserved and you're focusing on future you and you're really kind of putting your head down and doing the work to ensure that the freedom that you are undoubtedly going to want someday is actually something that you are going to be able to have. I mean, I really believe that like 18 to 24 months of intense focus can really change your whole life. It did mine. I mean, speaking personally, it definitely changed mine. So I think there is some element of it where you kind of have to remind yourself, like, it's not forever. It's just right now. Like, this is temporary. And like, there will be another season where it's a yes season and we're doing everything. But I don't think you can live in either one for too long. Like, you have to kind of go with that like flow of life.
Oh my gosh, I absolutely agree. And I think just that the context of, for now, this is the truth. For now, this is where we are. Because sometimes when we're in a position, it can feel like it's never going to end.
Yeah.
Right? Or like, oh, this is it. And then we throw our hands in the air and then we're like questioning everything. But I'd love to ask you, Katie, what's an old money rule that you hate? And then a new money rule that you love, because there are money rules, right? There are like, we know what grandma said, we know what our parents said, we know what Jan in accounting said about, this is these are the money rules. I'd love to an old money rule that you're like, nope, and then a new money rule, even if it's your own, that you love.
So old money rule that I hate is that everyone has to buy a house. You have to buy the home. You have to be a homeowner. I just hate that because I think it's so prescriptive. And frankly, I think if you dig into the financials, it's not.
Which you have. Yeah.
This week on the podcast, we did a huge deep dive that it's not always as much of a wealth builder as you'd want to think it is when you kind of all things considered. So I think the pressure that we put on young people to like hurry up and settle down. My friend Dave, I was just talking to him about this because he almost bought a house and then was like, you know what? I don't even want this. Like, this isn't even what I want for my own life. Why am I even entertaining this idea? He was like, sometimes I feel like some of the older folks in my life are like, hurry up and be miserable like me. Like,
yeah, Dave.
And he's like, I don't want to. Like, I don't want my whole life to be like yard work and maintenance on the weekends. I want to like, and be able to like move in 6 months if I want to. So I think that is a very limiting rule that also can be a little shamey, like especially in today's world where, you know, majority of millennials, unless you are one of the top 1 to 5% of earners, or you have a family that is willing to lend you or gift you a down payment, it's going to be really hard to get into a house that you actually want to be in and can comfortably afford. So I don't love that it makes people feel like, oh, I'm behind, or like it's kind of that like rung on the ladder that like, you have to do. And I just, yeah, not a fan. As far as a new money rule that I love, I feel like, so the one thing that's just kind of coming to mind, I think, is the overall like FIRE movement, the financial independence, retire early, and kind of the like ethos there, because I've certainly adapted it for my own life to be something that fits my personality more. But I do love that, you know, in the like mid 2000s, you know, early 2010s, you kind of had this group of, at the time, primarily like high earning white tech bros who were like, you know what? We've run the numbers, and like retirement isn't an age, it's a number. And even though a lot of people probably would not want to be literally retired, having nothing to do at age 35 or 40, it's so freeing to realize that like, oh, this is actually kind of within my control. I just remember there being a moment walking into work when I, you know, was probably 6 to 12 months into working full time. And it was like 8 a.m. I'm going into the office, like teetering along on my little heels. I got my lunch bag in one hand, my like laptop bag in the other. And it was like, hit me like a Mack truck, just this revelation of like, oh my God, do I have to do this for the rest of my life? Like, is this the next 40 years of my life? And it was so, I like nearly had a panic attack in the parking lot because it had sounds so stupid and so obvious, but it had never occurred to me that like, oh my God, like I need this job. I can't even exist if I don't show up here 5 days a week. Like, holy shit, I am so stuck. I am so trapped. And so that, discovering the FIRE methodology of like, it's a number, not an age. Like there are so many ways to get there. You can financially free yourself and like truly be in control of your own life. Just such a light bulb moment for me. And I do think I would consider it a new money rule of the last decade or so, because I don't think that like our predecessor generations that would have ever even occurred to them, or like I don't think it was even really possible for them in many cases. So it's certainly like a new.
Yeah. Aren't you so happy to be alive now?
Yes.
Like I've had this expression, right? The new rich. I think it was maybe it was Tim Ferriss who coined it, but like that being a real goal, like time freedom, vocation
totally
freedom,
4-hour work week. Yes. That's exact same ethos. Yep.
Yeah. I remember when I had my tech career, I was like, I also even noticed as a girl in my 20s, like I'm going to age out of this.
Yeah.
Like it's a young industry, and just being really aware of the fact that really, Katie, like there aren't really any rules. But this is kind of I'm doing the right thing. Got my job. I've got my business cards. Look, mom, like I'm doing, doing well over here. You know,
I'm an adult.
Yeah, but think
about, like, my passport, middle age.
I made it. Yeah, but you think about it, the safety, the security, it's not there. Like we think it is. But you only have to look around like for 5 minutes, you know. And the startup that I work for was acquired by AOL.
Oh my God.
And it was huge layoffs. I mean, I was on a programmatic team, which was like a great team to be part of because it was new and exciting. But like a lot of the traditional sellers, like they were gone, even some of the older engineers. And I'm like, there are no rules, right? Like truly, when it comes to money, how you set up, like you just said, the FIRE as the rule, like, So Katie, let me ask you this. What's your mission with the money work that you're doing? Like if you had to just summarize, follow Katie for this, or Katie's mission is to what?
Yeah.
Is it really tight? Do you have it like nailed in? Or are you like, I don't know?
I think colloquially, like what I'll say to people is like, I just want to make more people millionaires like early in life. Like I want them to have optionality and to see that it's actually within reach. But I do think it has evolved lately because I still very much want to educate around individual wealth acquisition for sure. But I do think that I have grown past seeing individual wealth acquisition in and of itself as like politically progressive in some way. Because when I think about some of the real problems with our society and country and kind of like the systems that tend to keep people stuck, the lack of universal childcare, the lack of universal paid leave, the lack of universal healthcare, pretty much all of these things that like in other countries, the state just provides them, at least in other rich countries like the United States. And then here they're all like privatized for-profit solutions that it's kind of on you, the individual, to fix. I do think that there is, it is worth acknowledging at least the kind of economic framework that we exist within, and noticing that your personal financial decisions do not exist in a vacuum, and neither do you, right? Like you also exist within the cultural norms of this system. So I think when you start to be aware of it, you can start to, push back on it at that individual level and kind of see how it might be impacting you, but also frankly, like agitate for change if that is the next right step. And I think the mission that I've been on since day one, I think we've made a lot of progress, and we're doing a lot of good with the personal education and kind of philosophy and fixing, quote unquote, fixing things at the individual level. But I do hope that at some point in my journey, or in the journey of Money with Katie and its impact, that we'll be able to impact things kind of at that collective or systemic level as well, because it's going to be really hard, I think, for like individual exceptionalism to be the answer for everyone. And I don't know, I get a little bit like I chafe a little at some of the things that I used to really buy not like I call it like girl boss feminism, which is like, if I as one woman get really rich, that's feminist, when it's like, not really though. Like it doesn't really drive everyone forward. It's kind of just, but like, what a convenient thing to believe, right? Because getting rich is fun and sexy, but like,
the greater collective
campaigning is not, or like advocating for political change, or like demanding policy change that would help all women is not fun and sexy. So I think one of those things is kind of easier and had more like, panache than the other. But I really think you need both. Like I do think that both are necessary, and you can kind of look at both as solutions.
Who are your money role models?
That's a good question. I really admire Chelsea Fagan, who runs the Financial Diet. I think she has done an excellent job of putting her money where her mouth is as a business owner. She's the CEO of that company, and she does not have the highest salary at that company. They have a 4-day work week. Like she's very big on, balance, and the fact that like money is a means to an end. It's not the end itself. And like, just growing for the sake of growing, or accumulating a bunch of money just for the sake of accumulating it. Like that should not be the goal. And like, if you really dig beneath the surface, it probably isn't your goal, but it's, the obvious kind of scapegoat. I also think Farnoosh, and, our mutual friend, because she has had such longevity in the space and brings such a, I guess, I just think that she is someone who's not afraid to say what she thinks and to ruffle feathers. And I think to look at a woman like that, who has been in this space for over 10 years now and is just absolutely prolific and has had continued success, saying what she actually thinks, is very inspiring to me.
And I think Farnoosh said to me, she's like, Katie's the next generation of voices on money. I mean, but isn't that wonderful to be connected and to be so supportive? I mean, this is an important conversation. And, as we touched on when we started, people want to avoid this topic.
Yeah.
It's like, you want someone to like open their bills. They don't want to do it. Like they get stuffed. They're like, oh, they need a drink before they can even open anything. Totally. It's like, how much debt do you have? Oh my, it's like a sweaty, like avoid conversation.
And that's the crazy thing, is we had Gabby Dunn on of Bad with Money, and they were talking about how there is some liberation in admitting that it's going to suck at first. Just saying like, this is going to hurt and it's going to be shitty and bad, and that's okay. Like I am going to embrace the suck for the time that it sucks, because I know that on the other side of the suck is going to be a whole lot of relief, and that it's going to be better. It's kind of like, I think the comparisons between like fitness and wellness and money are so ample, because, some days you're like, I don't really want to exercise. And the first 5 minutes are going to suck, but then you're in it and you're like, okay, I am glad I got off the couch. Like, now I feel better. You never regret it after the fact. So I do think that there's some liberation in kind of releasing this idea that like, it has to feel good all the time. It's like, but it's not going to. That's just not the human experience, right? Especially if it's something you've been avoiding. It's a wound that you have been covering and protecting and like not wanting to reveal for your whole life. I mean, yeah, it's going to suck at first, but it's part of the process.
It's part of the process. And also, I mean, what life has taught me is that what we avoid, we hoping something will change or hoping there'll be an improvement. Like, do you find too that when you also just face the guilt, like, oh my gosh, that's how much I spent, or the, oh, I didn't realize that this was my interest, like racking up whatever it is. Do you find that there is just, even in the face of something negative, there is a peace to the not turning away? Like,
oh, completely. Well, because it's like when you tell someone the honest truth that know they don't want to hear, but you know that you know, in your heart of hearts, deep down in your soul being, you know that like that is the truth. I absolutely think there is something to that there's peace even in, some maybe some guilt and shame. And frankly, like, not to invalidate someone feeling guilty or shameful, because those feelings are very real as we experience them. But even with the credit card example, I always try to strike the balance between like, yes, you should take individual responsibility and accountability for your choices 100%. But credit cards are like pretty exploitative, like as a product. Like, if they're going to send you a credit card when you're 18 years old and you have no idea how it works and no one's told you anything, that's probably not going to end well. Like, does that mean you're a bad person? No. Like, that drives me crazy sometimes is, I think we are very loose on like consumer protections here. So, and by here, I mean the United States, where it's kind of like every man for himself, good luck. Like only the best survive, only the smartest survive. So I do think that, even if you've made financial choices that you're not thrilled with in retrospect, you were doing the best that you could with the information you had at the time. You can't ask more of yourself than that.
Amen. And when you know better, you do better, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So this actually segues really nicely, because I love to end with like a rapid fire round, but I have so many rapid fire questions for you.
I'll try to be concise. As the audience has probably picked up on, I'm not a very succinct person. I'm a bit of a rambler.
But take your time, because I want to hear everything you have to say on these. So this is my first question. What do you wish every 16-year-old knew about money?
Oh my God.
If you could say like one or two things, like a 16-year-old who you could never see again, just know these things.
I would say don't overspend on college. And I'm saying that only because I think we only take in the information that applies to us at the time. I could sit there and show an exponential compounding interest chart to that kid for 45 minutes. They'd be like, I don't care. I'm going to prom next week. Like you only care in your life about the decisions that are about to actually impact you. So I think my biggest, like, shout the advice out the window and drive away to a 16-year-old is like, be very conscious of that college decision, because unfortunately, again, same story. We exist in a paradigm wherein there are no checks and balances in place. They will let you take out as much money as you want to study whatever you want. There is no one at any point along the line that will step in and say, hey, you probably shouldn't borrow $200,000 to study dance theory. Like, that's maybe not the right path. So I think kind of, I would say like really thinking about that college decision and like the ROI on the time and money you're going to spend to get that degree and what you think you're going to want it for. And if it's even the right choice, right? It's not going to be for everyone.
And increasingly it's not, we're seeing, right? People are making different choices and taking different paths.
I love that too. I love that people are making more independent decisions about the path that is correct for them.
I love it. Okay. What's most on your mind with money as 2023 approaches?
Oh my God. probably the stock market and the housing market, and just like these recessionary indicators, I guess, because the job market is still strong for sure. But I am personally, not that I need my money that's in the stock market anytime soon, but I do think that the next couple of years are going to be pretty meaningful for the US economy, and whether or not we can dig ourselves out of this mess where, you have this kind of myriad of problems like unaffordability of housing, wage stagnation, globalization. I mean, there's just so many factors that are going to impact, I think, where the US economy goes over the next few decades. And I do think that whatever monetary policy and, federal policy that I think it's going to make a big difference. So that's kind of where my head's at, is just like, what is going to happen next? Like there's a really great writer named Kyla who published this piece called The Vibe Session, where she's like, it's not a recession, it's a vibe session, because no one can really put their finger on it, but like the vibes are just off. And it's like people aren't losing their jobs, but like inflation is high, and like the stock market is down, but then like the next day it's really up. And so it just cracks me up, because I think that there is this kind of collective, like, none of us know what's happening right now. And, it's probably because we're coming out of a pandemic, but yeah, that's
why we need to follow you too for Money with Katie. Yeah. Oh, I think I know this one, but rent or buy?
Okay, I'm gonna not be flagrant here. I would say just run the numbers and ask yourself if you actually want the responsibility of being a homeowner. It's a huge responsibility.
Yes.
And it's, in my mind, a luxury. So I would say, if you don't think you're ready for it, then maybe just don't. Maybe just keep renting until you really do feel ready for it. So yeah, I would say I'm certainly not. I would never be like, you need to buy a house. I don't think that's really my bag.
My favorite thing about renting, I'm such a proud renter, and I've been a homeowner twice.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, tell me more.
Yes. My first apartment was in Sydney, Australia. I saved all of my commission checks in my 20s. And then we purchased our apartment in New York, moved pre-pandemic, and it was a nightmare to sell during the pandemic.
Yeah. Oh my God.
We held on to it, not wanting to, for a long time, because viewings, it was all just so tricky. And you know what? I am in no rush. Are you kidding me? Like I say this to anyone who listens. I'm like, the best thing about being in my gorgeous apartment right now is like, nothing in here is my problem.
Yes. Like, oh my God. I say that all the time.
Nothing.
Renting's kind of lit, honestly. Things will break in this house. This house was built in 1900. I mean, stuff goes wrong all the time. And I'm always like, Robin, the light bulb on the porch is out. Please come do something about it.
Talk about the new rich, right? I'm like, I'm not dealing with the air conditioning, anything. It's like, I need some help building.
It's time freedom. It totally is. Oh my God. I love it. So yeah, wow. I hadn't even thought about it in the context of the new rich, but you're absolutely right. It's like you're prioritizing your time and your freedom.
Yes. And love. Okay. Preach. Finish this sentence. Preach. Finish this sentence, Katie. Money is
power.
Oh,
the first thing that comes to mind. I can't help it. It's true. As much as I wish we could get around it,
you don't make the rules. Yeah.
I don't make the rules. Money is power. It's just the truth.
Yeah. Favorite word for money? Moolah, cheddar, De Niro.
Oh my God. That's a really good question. I've never been asked that before. I like moolah. Let's go moolah.
I like dough. Have you got the dough? Yeah.
Give me the dough. That's a good one. I feel like we should ask Cardi B this question.
I
feel like
she would have so many answer. Moolah I like too. Oh, biggest financial pet peeve, even if it's a small one.
Oh my gosh. My biggest financial pet peeve. Nothing is even really coming to mind. I think it's different within my own life, probably like me dealing with my own money. Like my pet peeve would be different than like if you were to ask me my biggest financial pet peeve with like the way or the attitude that we all collectively have about money. I guess in my own life, I kind of get irritated sometimes with like the amount of bureaucracy that is required to deal with pretty much anything going wrong. Like I hate anytime you get defrauded and you have to like, oh my God, like I had my identity stolen once. That was a freaking nightmare. It like took up the whole week, right? Like going to the police station, going to the bank, like all the red tape and the regulation around. I think there are a lot of systems that are kind of inefficient, and it's not a very good answer, but that would probably be my biggest pet peeve.
I agree. This is one thing I like about social media. You can shout out things too, but that often speeds it up, you know. But
totally.
Now I think about it, that's really mine. If there's a problem and it's not your fault, it's still an action you have to take.
Yes, it gives yes, you just put it perfectly. It's like it gives you homework because the bank screwed something up, and you're like, great, well, add it to the to-do list.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks. Exactly. Oh, split check or everyone pays for themselves.
Oh, so like, tell me more. In what type of situation?
I've seen this come up as a point of contention before because I'm a split check kind of gal, because for ease, number one. Also, for me, that feels like a good, so long as it's fair enough. You know, if you go out for dinner and someone's having lobster thermidor and caviar and you're there with your, like, you know, only dropping by for 20 minutes and you're having a coffee, you know, that's one thing. Yeah. But I see it happen with kind of bachelorette stuff and like any like group stuff, even family stuff. Do you believe in the let's just keep it easy and maybe that could feel more elegant, or are you more like, no, let's keep it fair and everyone each to their own? Because, for example, my brother-in-law's German. He likes to pay for himself. That he said, that's how we do it here. It's very fair.
Yeah. Interesting. You know, I could really argue either side of this one, because I do think that if everyone in the group kind of has similar means, it totally makes sense to just split the check. Like, I'm not going to sit there and be like, well, no, but you actually had 2 margaritas and I only had 1. So you should Venmo me $4. Like that is exhausting. I think if everyone there clearly has the means to like pay for, you know, maybe I think it all comes out in the wash, right? Especially with friends
over
like,
years. Yeah.
Yeah. If you were friends with someone, I'm like, I'm more than willing to treat you sometimes, because I know you're going to treat me sometimes too. So I think there's like an abundance mindset around that kind of stuff. Though at the same time, I do understand why. You know, I remember going out to lunch sometimes with coworkers where we were all on very different pay structures, very different pay bands. And you're ordering based on the fact that you're an entry-level employee, and they're ordering based on the fact that they're a senior manager. And you're like, I'm not really trying to like subsidize part of your meal. In that case, I would definitely probably be like, I'd rather pay for myself. But I do think like the social and socioeconomic factors of like the group you're with would definitely like influence me one way or the other.
And would you speak up if everyone's like, let's split and it didn't feel fair? Would you go, actually?
Yeah. Oh, I definitely, yes, I think Good so. Because I feel bad. I just know how it feels to be the brokest bitch at the table and to be like, I can't afford your glass of Veuve. Like, I ordered water because that's all I can afford, but I still wanted to be here. Like, there's, you know, like you don't want someone to feel left out or like they can't participate in social activities because like they can't be a high roller like their friends. So I definitely think at least now post money with Katie, I would feel comfortable saying something. I always feel like it would be expected at this point.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I remember in my early 20s, I was divorced and I was going through a lot of changes, you know, and I would say ahead of time, I can come, but I want to pay for myself.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yes.
Because people were they had far more money. They were much older. And I'm like, I can afford $50 and I'm getting the bus, you know? So they'd either say, we'd like to treat you. And then I'd say, thank you very much. I don't expect that, but that's cool. But I can't spend $200 on this lunch.
Totally. Okay. I love that.
Ahead of time.
That's a solution. Yes. You set the boundary, you set the expectation ahead of time. So you're not doing the awkward, like the bill is being passed around and everyone's throwing their credit cards in and you're like, nah, but wait.
Exactly.
Good for you. This is why you're a life coach. Cause that's great advice.
And by the way, there's nothing wrong with having a little less, you know, like life's always dynamic.
Not at all.
There's nothing wrong with that. So love. Okay. That's right. Okay. Biggest splurge. Lately, I think you already said
probably the Chanel shoes.
Good for you. I want to see them.
Probably the dad sandals. I know they're very cute. I posted them and I was like, I splurged. And the amount of people who were like, girl, those are not it. I'm like, take it up with whatever. What's the guy's name?
Lagerfeld.
Yeah, take it out with Karl Lagerfeld then. I didn't design them.
I'm sure they are perfect. So biggest splurge. What about your most recent or your favorite smug saving?
Smug saving?
Yeah, when you're like, oh, I didn't spend money on that. Like,
oh, a smug saving. That's good. Huh. I think to this day, it's still probably the fact that when I lived in Dallas, I had all these friends that were getting jobs at the same time I was. We're all the same age, and we were all mostly making the same amount of money, kind of within $1,000 or two of each other. And a lot of my friends moved into like fancy 1-bedroom apartments and were spending like $1,600 a month on their apartment. And I got a roommate and lived in this like not very nice building, but it was like $700 a month. And I still to this day feel pretty smug about my roommate choices because I really went against the grain for sure. Like for years there, probably 4 or 5 years where I was living beneath my means with my housing when my friends were kind of living it up. And I did feel and do feel pretty smug about my willingness to rough it to save some money.
Yes. And that's the biggest outlay, right? The accommodation in life.
For
right?
sure. Oh,
so
yeah.
Look at you, the $700 rent.
Yeah. I felt pretty good about it. And I had a lot more money every month than they did because I had, my cost of shelter was less than half as much.
Yeah.
So like frees up you can buy a lot of lattes and avocado toast with the $1,000
like you're walking around
saving.
Oh, crypto curious, yes or no?
I'm a no on crypto. Just too speculative for me. I think everyone's risk tolerance is different. For me personally, doesn't pass my sniff check of like my investing philosophy, which is very reliant on like, I need to understand underlying cash flows. I need to understand why this has value beyond just what someone else is willing to pay for it. Like, how does this generate income? And so it doesn't pass the sniff test for me, but that's not to say it won't ever. Just right now, it's a no for me.
Your personal money philosophy in a few words.
Oh, that's good. Probably that money is a tool. I think keeping that in mind can right a lot of wrongs. It can help you detach from the emotion of like, hey, it's just a tool. It can help you avoid hoarding tendencies or scarcity tendencies because you are recognizing that it's a means to an end, not the end itself. And I think it keeps it in perspective. I do, to every, what is the phrase? To every hammer, everything looks like a nail. To a money blogger, every problem looks like could be solved with money. And so I think there's some beauty in recognizing that it's just one important thing in life. It's not the only or the most important thing. If you don't have it, it's going to quickly become the most important thing in your life. And I think a lot of people live in that reality. But if it's working well, if money is functioning well in your life, it should not be something you're constantly thinking about, right? Like it should just be there when you need it, but it should not be omnipresent. And I think that's kind of the weird, like, paradox of wealth, where like the richer you become, the less money matters to you and the less you have to think about it. So I think when we think about the wealthy and we think like, oh, they only care about money, they only care, but it's like, on the contrary, though, they probably are not thinking about money very much because they no longer have to. And like when you're trapped in a cycle of poverty or near poverty, it's the only thing that you can think about because you're in survival mode 24/7.
Yes, I heard this, Katie. Maybe it was from you actually, that money's like oxygen in that way. If you don't have any, it's but if you have loads of it, you're like, oh, like it's not the thing.
Whoa, no, that wasn't from me, but I do love that quote. That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah, but the tool, I love it. Okay, and final question from the Let It Be Easy podcast. What's one thing that you do every day that allows your life to be easier?
I have my like go-to money answer of like, I have a cleaning lady. Or like I outsource my food prep to someone else. But I do think, have you ever heard of The Class by Taryn Toomey? It's this like New York based exercise. class. It's a little woo-woo, but I do like me some woo-woo. So I do that every morning. And even when I don't want to, I do find that it is something that it's like, you got to have your routine, and when I start my day that way, it's just, I know that no matter what else happens, like I'm going to be in a better spot to deal with it. So I take the time, take the hour. I think that little ritual is definitely, it's a daily practice that, you don't have to have gobs of money to engage in, but definitely has been a big game changer for me.
Katie, oh my gosh, thank you for this. I could keep, like, truly, I have to come back. Like,
oh my gosh, this was so fun. Thank you so much for having me, Susie.
Oh, Katie, where do people go to follow you, to access all of your really cool breakdowns, your blogs? Like, where should we drive everybody today?
So you can go to moneywithkatie.com. That's the kind of the main hub. Follow Money with Katie on Instagram and Twitter. That's probably where we're most active. And then the Money with Katie show on podcast networks everywhere, wherever you get your podcasts.
Money with Katie, nice and easy. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time. Mwah! So much love to you.